Hello once again, everybody. Welcome. All right, let's see what's going on here tonight. Tons of people in here already. Corey says, evening. Hello. All right, let's see what we got. Make sure everything's right here. We got that. Turn those off. Good. Should be all set. Okay. Everyone ready? Here we go. Why is it that CBT and ERP seem to ignore the importance of unconscious conflicts? It seems like CBT essentially gets you to a stagnant place where you assign no meaning whatsoever to your thoughts. For instance, if somebody fears they're homosexual, the approach seems to be telling yourself, maybe not, maybe I'm a werewolf, as if accepting complete uncertainty and chaos is normal. Well, I don't know that we're here to accept chaos. We're here to accept doubt and uncertainty. And I would say, ABF, that you already do accept complete uncertainty in much of your life. If you drive, you absolutely have accepted uncertainty about if you're going to be in a car accident or not. You don't know when you get in the car if you will arrive where you were hoping to arrive. So there's a chance you could get in an accident. Whoa, sorry, sneeze. That was a big one. And therefore, you've accepted absolute and complete uncertainty about driving, and still drive probably, or walk up and down stairs. You have no 100% certainty. You may do all the things that you can to not fall down the stairs, but you still don't have an absolutely 100% rock solid, bulletproof certainty that you won't fall down the stairs. And so, or that the stairs could collapse, right? I mean, it could just happen. So the idea is there's no way to know unconscious conflicts. And I could get 12 different analysts in a room and they would probably give me 12 different unconscious conflicts that I have going on. At least in CBT and ERP, what we can do is we can see the behaviors that people are doing, or we can work with people on the behaviors they're doing, because I can't see the mental behaviors, but I can discover them by working with people. And my goal is to get them to change their behavior, because it turns out the compulsion, the behavior that people do, the mental or physical behavior that people do, is the thing that maintains OCD. So I don't debate the obsessions. I'm not trying to get in there and figure out where the obsession came from, why it is, why it was, anything of that nature. That's kind of a waste of time, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at what are the things that are maintaining the problem, and I'm going to go with that. And I know that the compulsions are the things that maintain OCD, and therefore, those are the things that I'm going to focus on. Now, I have offered to people after ERP, if you want to figure out where this all came from, I'm happy to meet with you to try to figure that out. No one's taken me up on the offer, because at that point, nobody cares, because they're just thrilled that they don't have this thing hanging out over their head anymore, and that they've learned a way to live the life they want to live and not the life that OCD tells them to live. Plus, here's the other piece. Let's say you and I start analysis together, and we go through all sorts of unconscious things, and we discover the reason for your fear after 70 sessions is that you fell down the stairs as a child, and since then you have been afraid of doing anything without guidance from others, because it was one of the first times you walked the stairs by yourself and you fell, and that has taught you that if you try to venture out and do something on your own, it could turn out terribly. And so now you don't want to do that anymore. Or I could say, oh, you're afraid of heights. Let's start working on that in session 2 or 3, and likely have you over the fear of heights within like 4 more sessions. And then ask you, do you want to know where this came from? And you'll probably say, no, I'm thrilled I can do heights now. So that's why I'm not saying that people can't go do it. I'm just saying that we haven't found it to be additive in terms of the treatment. This week I started journaling. You had a second voice in mind of other people, and they force you to not be yourself. Well, no one can force you to not be yourself. A second mind cannot force you to not be yourself. So I'm going to challenge that. You may hear things in a second mind and may feel that way, but remember, just because something feels that way doesn't mean that it is that way. So let's keep that in mind. It comes down to the person you like, all your values, your opinions, and the things that you like. At some point, you thought all of this was you, and you thought, I can't ever be your true self again. Sounds like a standard OCD existential concern right there. What if I'm not able to be my true self, right? What if? And boy, we see that one a lot. What if I'm not who I'm supposed to be? What if this is a simulation? What if I'm a copy of myself? What if I've somehow switched brains with someone else? What if I don't truly know who I am? You started journaling, you could see through the OCD lies. Great. You can finally start living life that you want again. Great. There's still some barrier against your true self, but journaling has made all your OCD symptoms subside a lot, and you hope you can become your true self and feel alive someday. I will just warn you about this, that there may be a goal of a true self that OCD has put out there that you will never attain, because nobody ever attains OCD goals. So just be wary of trying to attain something that OCD tells you that you can attain, because we don't see people attaining that. And this idea of the true self may be one of those things where OCD will say, oh, you're so close to your true self. We just need about 12 more years of journaling to get there, and then you'll be your true self. Be wary of that. Joe says, can we talk a bit about the next best approach to OCD when ERP doesn't work? You have had ERP sessions and put the work in, and while you see how it could give you some people help you feel like it just puts more weight to your intrusive thoughts, you have found the best way to ATM, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what that is, to not do your rituals is to be really busy and do as many things as possible to increase your self-esteem and make yourself proud. Are there any other methods, please? I'm just concerned on the keep yourself busy piece that could be some distraction going on. I am glad that, though, if you can do things to feel proud. And in some ways, I think you're doing ERP there, actually, because one of the things that I would ask people to do is, even if you have intrusive thoughts, I want you to do things that are fun. I want you to live your life, right? I don't want you to do them as a way to not think about stuff. I want you to do them while those OCD things are there, to allow yourself to learn that even if OCD is there, I don't have to pay any attention to it. I don't have to let it ruin anything. So, Joe, I'm wondering if that might be why you're starting to feel better, because you actually are doing ERP work. You're exposing yourself to things, and the response prevention is, instead of doing compulsions, you're living your life. And so I think you might be doing actually great ERP there, and that would be something that I would hope would happen. A lot of people kind of question this and will say, wait, aren't I supposed to just sit with the discomfort? And my answer is no. You're not supposed to sit with it. You're supposed to live with it. And living with it means, though this uncomfortable thought or image or urge is there, I'm still going to do what I want to do and not what my OCD wants to do. Because if doing what my OCD wanted me to do was the right thing to do, well, then we would teach everybody to have OCD, because OCD would always be the right thing to do. But that's not what we want to do. So we're going to move on from that. Valentina says, you were offered an ERP exercise, which includes you touching tools in our toolbox and going to bed without washing your hands. Your dad used them to fix all sorts of things around the house. Logically, you know you won't get cancer from this one exposure, but what if when I'm asleep, I'll contaminate something and won't know about it, and then we'll be exposed to this stuff for months? Valentina, I would Question: Do you know absolutely everything that's touched everything you touch ever in your life? So, if you go to a restaurant, do you know who touched the chair before you or what touched it? When you go out to a bar, do you know who was at the bar before you were and what they might have had on their hands or anything? When you go to a store, do you know who picked up the cans or different things before you? You don't know any of those things. And so, does that stop you from interacting with all of that stuff? Or do you still do those things? I'm betting you probably still do those things, which means you seem to be absolutely okay with not knowing that stuff. But now, um, with these tools, you say, logically, you know we can cancer from this one exposure, but if you're asleep, you'll contaminate something and won't know about it, and then we'll be exposed to this stuff for months. I'm wondering how long your dad was exposed to his tools, and he may still be alive. I don't know. He may be dead. He may have gotten cancer, even. If that is the case, though, Valentina, if the things that the people that we love have touched something, and let's say they've gotten cancer, I need to move out of my house then because my wife had cancer and I still have the furniture in the home from when she lived there. I'm also maybe a terrible person because I had some garage sales and I also made some donations, which means now that all of her cancer touch stuff are in the homes of other people or are sitting in various donation centers around the town I live in. And I'm wondering how much cancer I would be responsible now for passing around to everybody else because I took all of the things that she had worn and that she had used and that she had touched, and I've sold them or I've given them away. So, Valentina, could you let me know if I should put out a warning to everyone in my town to get rid of anything that they bought at the donation center or that they bought at my garage sale because I could have given them cancer from it? So let me know in the scroll here what you think about that. Dare Warfare says you recently injured your foot. Your mind keeps telling you that you're lying to everybody about it. What's good ERP? Well, say to your mind, and if I was, I'll handle that. Right? I mean, does it matter if you lie about your foot or not? Interesting that OCD takes this thing that is so trivial and makes a mountain out of it, right? And just says it's huge. But in reality, even if you told someone that you hurt your foot and you didn't, what you might get in a week is, hey, how's your foot? Oh, it's fine. Great. Okay. Moving on. Right? Even that wouldn't be a big deal. So I say, tell people about your foot and live with the fact that you think you might be lying. I'm going to bet you can handle it. All right. I'm going to mute for a moment because after that sneeze, I really need to blow my nose, but none of you need to hear or see it. So I'll be right back. Stay tuned, everybody. So much better. Okay. Where were we? Compulsive Comedian says, how can I stop ruminating about past rude comments, especially when I find myself obsessively analyzing if I deserve them or what they mean about me? I've heard you can stop solving these thoughts like a math problem, but they feel automatic and persistent. Any strategies to manage this? Well, Compulsive Comedian, great name, by the way, I like it. You're going to stop ruminating about things when you accept the fact that some people just think that way about you, instead of trying to analyze why they might think that about you. What is it about you that led them to think that? Should you change something? You could just accept the fact that, you know what? There's people who don't like you. But guess what? There's people who don't like me. And there's people who don't like, oh, Beth is next. Hi, Beth. There's people who probably don't like Beth. And Williams after that. And Adams after that. And there's probably people who don't like them as well. And I don't know one person who is liked by absolutely everyone in the world. I just don't. And so, how much ruminating should all of us do, compulsive comedian, in order to try to figure out why people feel those ways about us? How much time should we spend attempting to figure out, like a math problem, as you say? Now, you say this feels automatic and persistent. Any strategies to manage this? One thing that I love, compulsive comedian, is the loop tape. I love having people make a loop tape of all of the things that people have said about you in the past. And then I would play that loop tape over and over and over and over again until you're so bored with it that you just don't give a crap about any of those words whatsoever. I've had people do this in the past. It's been very, very helpful to them. They've really felt that this was the key thing for them to do, because they spent years trying not to think of all of the things that people called them or said about them. And all they did was think about those things. And when they stopped doing that and finally got to, you know what, I'm just going to accept the fact that people have said this about me, they started to actually feel better. So if you truly want to overcome the fears of these things, what I would say is think them purposely. Well, we're about a quarter in. Welcome, everyone, to the Wednesday night webinar brought to you by NOCD. NOCD, an online platform for the treatment of obsessive compulsive and related conditions. Check us out at NOCD.com if you're looking for help for OCD or related conditions like body-focused repetitive behaviors, trichotillomania, excoriation, tics, and those other things are hair pulling and skin picking. We treat hoarding. And, by the way, if you're looking for an hour long, just fun chat session with someone who's an expert in OCD or related conditions, check out our NOCD 411 sessions. We'd be happy to meet with you for an hour and just chill and chat and talk about all the stuff we kind of do on here. But you can get an hour with me, even if you wanted to, with that. And we could help set that up for you. So just good education, not therapy session, good education session. So let us know if you're interested. NOCD.com. William Hunter says, how to deal with social anxiety SOCD, which could be somatic OCD, and dating. I've identified, you're talking about sexual orientation OCD, because I see now. You've identified your whole life as straight, you're 20, but you have persistent thoughts about being gay or bi or being thought of as such. You want to date girls, you're insecure and anxious about dating. You live in a state that's very homophobic. So, William, I say go on dates. See how they go. Discover who you are. If there's doubts or insecurities about it, A, welcome to dating. And B, well, there may be doubts or insecurities. And since OCD says doubts and insecurities are unacceptable, and for you, dating might right now be the most important thing in the world to you, then that is what OCD is going to pick on. So have your dates, learn that you can handle the doubts and insecurities, and recognize this, that you are never going to get the 100% answer that OCD wants you to have. Why? Because OCD is the doubting disorder, and the doubting disorder has never allowed anyone to have an answer that isn't full of doubt and insecurity, right? So you may say, I should really only date people once I know 100% what my sexual orientation is. And that means you will never date anyone, because you will never, to the satisfaction of OCD, know what your sexual orientation is. It just will not happen. So it is not about trying to figure out exactly what it is or what it might be or what it could be. It's about, you know what? Here's how I feel I am. This is what I think I am. This is what I've been. And that's where I'm going to go. And if along the way something else comes up, okay. There we go. We figure it out then. But the attempt to figure it out now means you're just going to go down OCD rabbit holes, and you're not going to ever get to the answer that you want. And you'll just kind of hide and shy away from dating for the rest of your life until you figure out exactly what it is you think you need to figure out, which, according to OCD, you will never actually figure out. Adam says, hey, Doc, what do you think about TMS treatment for depression or anxiety? Not sure if you treat depression too, but would love to hear your take on it. Thanks. So TMS is FDA approved now for OCD and also for depression. And I have seen it be helpful for people, probably in about 40% of cases, from what I have seen. I think if you have tried ERP, if you have tried medications, and you still haven't quite seen the results that you would want, this would be the next step to do. And or intensive outpatient programming, you could try that. But if you have the access to deep TMS and it could be helpful to you, or if you're looking for it for TMS for depression and it's available, I think that it's a worthy try. So give it a go. Alex says, "Hey everyone, hi Alex. Beth is going to the DMV on September 17th and will be wearing 3 paper masks and wants to use lots of hand sanitizer and also printed out the forms. Beth, that's a lot of compulsions right there. So how about we wear 1 mask instead of 3? Okay. And you don't want to touch any forms. And you are hoping not to get COVID. You don't want to sit in the chair. You're hoping they will let you stand. You are going to have to take the masks off, yes. And guess what? You can breathe as well. And then you say you will be petrified for the next week. Beth, you're seeking a lot of reassurance out here tonight. So please, everyone, don't give Beth reassurance. Don't tell her she will be fine. Don't tell her everything will be okay. Please do not do that, right? We want Beth to go and do her ERP. And we want her to say, Beth, we think you can handle it. And let us know how it goes. And that's all we're going to do, right? That's all we're going to do. Mike says, how to tell the difference if you already have achieved habituation to intrusive thoughts or you're just too depressed to care about self-harm thoughts anymore. Well, depression could lead people to not care so much about things. So that would be something that I would work on with your therapist, because if you are actually going through with self-harm, that is something to be dealt with right away, right? We don't want anybody doing any self-harm. Sometimes people do that and think, well, I'll just do a little, but can go further than they were hoping to and can cause some damage. So that's not what we want. So, Mike, I would really work with a therapist who can help you with that. In terms of habituation to it, if you're able to have those thoughts and be able to be okay with the fact that they're there and still go and do things and live your life, that's great. But if you have them and you're not doing anything and you're not really living your life because you're so depressed, then I'm more concerned about it. So that's really what I would take a look at, Mike, is what are your behaviors that you're doing? Are your behaviors one of avoidance and reassurance seeking and distraction, or are you out there living your life? If you're out there living your life, I think that you're really habituating. If you're not, which I'm thinking is probably the case, if you're asking about if you're too depressed to care, thinking probably depression is there. So you might really want to work with your provider on that. And if, you haven't done like a behavioral activation work for depression, you might want to give that a try. We also talked about TMS or even medications or intensive programs that are out there for it too. Hello World said, you're going on a short date trip with this girl you've been talking to. She recently opened up about her mental health problems. You're scared to date her and find that you're not that into her. What if you get her hopes up and you worsen her mental health or mess her up? Well, you've been thinking about canceling and can't stop thinking it over. So, hello world. I want to challenge you. Are you afraid to date her because of the mental health issues? And then in turn, should she be afraid to date you if you have any mental health issues at all? Or is there a perfectionism issue going here? Oh, she's admitted to a flaw. And I was really hoping to find someone who was flawless. No flaws at all. Now, Good luck, hello world, if you do find someone who has no flaws whatsoever while dating. But your OCD may tell you that they're out there. Sometimes we see this in relationship OCD. Sometimes we see this with perfectionism. And it will be very, very challenging for you to be able to find anyone, be with anyone, love anyone, if what you're looking for is the flawless person, because you're just not going to find them, right? Now, it will be ultimately your choice if you want to go on the date or not. I would look at the date almost as an exposure and response prevention exercise, where there's the part of you right now that wants to run, and you may be missing out on something that could be really cool. And so you could go on the date, and then after the date, make the decision about if you want to see this person again or not. Because that's kind of what dating is, right? That is the whole purpose of dating. So if we never date, then we never get to see anything about the person or understand anything about them. But if we do go on a date, then we can really make some informed choices about if this is a person that we want to be with again or not. So from an ERP aspect, I would think about going on the date. Hello says, I forgot something and feel like you have to remember or something bad will happen. What should I do? Thank you. Well, Hello, I have probably forgotten more than I've learned. There's jokes I was told that I've forgotten. There's things that happened to me when I was 1, 2, and 3, and 4 that I don't quite remember. Although I do have a pretty good childhood memory, but I don't remember everything. I don't remember every lesson of every day that I took in school, even through graduate school. I don't remember everything I ate in the last month. I've forgotten a ton of things, Hollow. I'm wondering if that's the reason why all the bad things have happened in my life. You know, I could look at some bad things that have happened in my life, and I guess that I could say, oh, I now know why those things have happened. It's because I forgot something. That is why. So I could just live with the fact that I've forgotten things. I've been forgetting things since I was born. I'm a human. Or OCD could tell me that, well, that's the reason bad things have happened. And then I could sit here and blame myself then for all the bad things that have happened, because obviously they're all my fault because of all of the things that I've forgotten. So going back to my example of my wife dying of cancer, I guess I killed her because I forgot something, because that was probably one of the baddest things that's ever happened to me was my wife dying. So I'm wondering now what I forgot that caused her to get cancer. Now, if you hear that and you think, oh, no, that's no, then I just want you to consider, as maybe as out there as that sounds when I say it, that's what most people will think about when you say it. Now, your OCD will say, it doesn't work for anybody else, but it does work for you this way. I mean, no one else has to deal with this, but you do. And that's where OCD loves to come in and say you're special, that the rules of the world apply to you differently than they do to everybody else. But I would contend that's not the case. If it was, there would be absolutely no reason to do treatment whatsoever, right? Absolutely no reason to do anything whatsoever, treatment-wise, because, hey, why even waste time, right? I mean, if forgetting things is the true cause of bad things happening, well, we're doomed to the fact of bad things happening in the world for all of eternity, because as humans, we don't have perfect memories. In fact, there are very few people we know. We know of a couple of people that seem to have really, really darn good memories. the actress Mary Lou Henner, one of them, right? If you remember Taxi, she was on there. She's got like this amazing photographic memory. We don't know more than about 50 people in the world who have that, though. And so maybe those 50 people hate the rest of us for forgetting things because we are the cause of bad happening. Or forgetting something may have absolutely nothing to do with it whatsoever. But OCD will say, but what if it does? And you know what? What we're going to do, Hollow, we're going to live with that. We're going to learn to handle that. And we're going to be ourselves and move on. Emily asks, where should I start with ERP? What can you expect? Well, I would start with a therapist who's trained in ERP. By the way, we do that at NOCD. Check us out at NOCD.com if you're looking for that. And I would work with someone who's going to build up a good hierarchy with you to have you face your fears and learn that you can handle the things you're afraid of. We aren't here to shock you or throw you in the deep end of the pool and tell you to figure out how to swim. We're going to stick a toe in the water and see how it feels and build from there. So, Emily, that's where I would go. Caliber 9 says how to deal with guilt of OCD thoughts. Well, Caliber 9, does there have to be guilt about the thoughts? I mean, if you watched last week, my parents are still alive, by the way, everyone. I know the goal last week was to kill my parents during the webinar. I just spoke to them today, actually, so they are still alive. We did not kill them with our thoughts last time. We could try again, though. Caliber, if you didn't listen last week, I'd encourage you to go listen to last week's show where I made every attempt possible to kill my parents with my thoughts. And Caliber, I'm wondering how much guilt should I have over attempting to kill my parents with my thoughts? I'll try it again now. Mom and Dad, you will be dead by the end of this webinar unless I do 12 compulsions. And guess what, everyone? I am not going to do 12 compulsions because one of those compulsions I'll just make up would have to be, I would have to hop around this room like a kangaroo 12 times screaming XO, 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 which is not going to happen. So either my parents are dead by the end of the webinar because I haven't done the compulsions, or do I actually have anything to feel guilty about? Can I just recognize that sometimes I have weird thoughts and images and urges, and I can just be with them and let them be there without having to do something to neutralize them or make them go away? That's what I'd like to do. That's what I would hope to do, right? And my hope is that that's where we'll be, right? We'll be able to sit with whatever it is that pops in our head and recognize that, oh, that really doesn't deserve any time or attention whatsoever. It's kind of dumb, actually. So I'm just going to let that be there. We don't have to do anything with it whatsoever. McKenna says, why am I always sorry even if it's not my fault? Because, McKenna, it's a compulsion. Saying you're sorry is a compulsion. I have banned at times with the people that I work with the use of the phrase, I'm sorry. Whenever people bring it up in therapy sessions, I say, I don't accept your apology. And they look at me like, wait, what? What are you talking about? You don't accept my apology. Why not? I mean, I apologize. I said, yeah, and I don't accept your apology. But why? Because I don't accept your apology. Because I see your apology as a compulsion. And I will not accept your apology because I do not want you to do this compulsion anymore. And therefore, let's move on from this compulsion. Right? Because this is not helping anyone or anything whatsoever. So, moving on. We will not accept apologies. And one of the things that you might do is consider telling the people in your life that you love, hey, if I tell you I'm sorry, like Sorry, just wanted to see how you're doing. Sorry, how's your day been? Anything like that. Please tell me you don't accept my apology because I want help breaking that habit because it's not a habit you want to keep doing. Tristan says, you've answered your question about intrusive thoughts about people plotting against you. It helped. Great. But what are some ERP tips I could use? You're still trying to just sit with the thought. Remember, don't just sit with it, live with it, right? And Tristan, what I want you to do is, if you're tempted just to stay inside because you think people are plotting against you, go for a walk. Go for a walk around the block. Go outside and check your mail. Go for a drive somewhere. Allow for yourself to learn, all that plotting and nothing happened again. So that's what I want you to do. Be out in the world, Tristan, not just sitting inside and challenging your thoughts or thinking about things, but go live your life. That's what you want to do. Angela says, I'm tired of this. I hate the person I've become suffering from this OCD. It takes up your whole day. You feel so defeated. And you're right, Dr. McGrath. The more times you do the same compulsions, the more anxious and uncomfortable you feel. Angela, I'm so glad that you're saying that. And Angela, I'm hoping you're going to use that as something to turn around because, and everyone really pay attention here. I want you to really hear this. It's the title of a talk I've been doing recently. And I can't be more clear than what I'm about to say. Your OCD doesn't give a shit about you at all. Right? I can't make it more clear than that. OCD does not have your best interest at heart. It has its own best interest at heart, and it only gives a shit about itself. But it does not care about you whatsoever. Okay? So please keep this in mind. All right? OCD does not care about you. It cares about itself. And OCD wants one thing and only one thing. And that one thing is for you to do a compulsion. That is the one thing that OCD wants. Okay? That's it. And it will do anything that it possibly can to get you. So I'm hearing things from people tonight like, oh, the guilt I have and the shame that I have and how disgusting I feel and how down I am and depressed. Yeah, sure. You know why? Because you're doing everything OCD wants you to do. And that's why you're feeling that way. Now, you're going to bounce right back at me saying, no. OCD makes me feel this way because these thoughts and these images, and they're so terrible. They're so bad. I feel so awful about them. And again, I'm going to tell you the thing I say every week, which is, and there's other people in the world who have these thoughts, images, and urges and turn them into movie scripts and sell them to Hollywood for horror films and get paid millions of dollars. So you can't tell me that these things make you feel that way, because if they made you feel that way, they'd have to make everybody else feel that way. You are interpreting them that way. And there is a subtle but important fact in that, right? And I say this all the time to people. Nothing makes me feel anything. I feel the way based on how I interpret it. If elevators made people afraid, nobody would take them. But there are some people who are afraid of elevators. So did the elevator make them afraid, or did they interpret the elevator to be something scary? Because the person who loves elevators is not interpreting the elevator in the same way that the person who's afraid of elevators is. So if the elevator made us feel fear, nobody could love elevators. It would be impossible because elevators make you afraid. So if the elevator doesn't make you feel afraid, okay, then what are you feeling? You're feeling your interpretation of those thoughts and those images and urges. That's what you're feeling. You're feeling how you're interpreting them. Now, OCD is really good at getting you to interpret in the worst way possible and then say to you, geez, what a freaking awful person you are for even having these thoughts. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. You're awful, horrible. Oh my gosh. Hey, I've got a cure for that though. Just do this compulsion. Everything will be fine. Now, what OCD has not told you is that the only reason you had those things is because of it, right? It keeps that secret. It holds that part to the side. So OCD says, I'm never the cause of the problem, but I'm always the cure for it. And you know what the cure is? Beautiful, lovely, wonderful, fresh packed compulsions. For free. I give them away freely to you. And all you need to do is just do them. I won't charge you anything whatsoever. And in fact, the thing that I get in return from you doing compulsions is I just get to live. I just get to be here. And so I'll give you all these compulsions to do. And when you do them, thank you. Thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you for believing in me so much. Thank you for trusting me as your source of truth and life. Thank you for listening, because without you doing these compulsions, I could never survive. I could never be in this world. So it really is all because of you that I am here today, because you continue to do these compulsions to keep me alive. So just thank you so very much. Now, again, what a jerk of a disorder, right? Pretty terrible right there, isn't it? I'd challenge any of you to prove to me that any of your thoughts are bad or awful or horrible or you deserve to feel guilt or shame over them. I'd have to feel guilt or shame about the thoughts I have then. And I don't. I still have a card in my wallet that says, I hope my parents die tonight. I feel no guilt or shame about it whatsoever. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should feel shame about that. Maybe there should be some guilt about that. Maybe I really am a terrible son for even thinking such a thing, or having the image of it or the urge to do something about it. Maybe I should call my parents right away and apologize to them. Maybe I should use the words, I'm sorry, constantly, anytime I'm interacting with them or anyone else that I might have had any kind of negative thought about whatsoever. Maybe that's the only reason why they're still alive, is because I've done some subtle kind of compulsions. But if I were to stop them, obviously, that card would kill them instantly. Or maybe anything that happens in my head has absolutely no bearing on the rest of the world whatsoever. I'm going to think a thought right now, and let's see if it happens. Nope. My thought was, I hope I spontaneously combust and just turn into flames. It did not happen. Fascinating, isn't it? Just fascinating. I don't understand why it didn't occur. I didn't even do a compulsion. Why didn't it happen? According to many of you, we're this close to terrible, awful, horrible things happening. Only by the skin of our teeth and the use of a compulsion have we prevented those things from happening for decades and decades and decades. Pure luck. Pure luck. Or you've been lied to and you've believed it the whole time. And one day, I hope you accept that. One day, I truly hope that you believe that to be true. KR says you have thoughts about your children. You struggle with urges more than anything else. How do you handle urges or feelings that seem more like statements rather than what ifs? You let them be there. That's what you do. And you learn that a statement or an urge or a what if or whatever still don't have to make anything happen. OCD will go anywhere it needs to go to get you to do a compulsion. So KR, if that's what it did to get you to do a compulsion and you're doing compulsions, OCD says, woohoo! Yes! More compulsions, please. That's where it goes. That's what it does. Right? There is no limit to where OCD will go. Again, keep this in mind, everybody. There is no limit to where OCD will go. Absolutely none. Right? It will go anywhere it needs to go in order to get you to do a compulsion. Now, I hate that, King. That's good, Beth. Thank you. I always like just reading through what people say. The support people give is always fun. Malb says, I want to be happy and carefree, but I'm stuck with these negative thoughts about myself. Well, Malbs, why do negative thoughts about yourself have to stop you from being a carefree person again? Why do they have to stop you from being happy? That could just be one thing that you're playing in the back of your head, right? I have tinnitus. I don't hear negative thoughts. I hear a sound. I just hear this. 24/7. So, Mal, should I no longer be happy or carefree? Because I hear that sound 24/7. Well, should that just ruin my day? And I can feel no more happiness whatsoever because I hear. And I could just go on and on with that, but probably your cats are all going crazy right now. So, Malbs, am I doing something wrong by still being happy and having a carefree life, even though I have tinnitus? And I hear a sound that sucks? I don't know. Maybe I'm goofy. Maybe I'm the one who's in the wrong. Or maybe you just didn't realize that you can have a series of things playing in the back of your head, sounds, words, statements, phrases, songs, whatever, and not have to be ruled by them whatsoever. Right? They don't have to take over everything in your life. Mm-hmm. Let's see what else we got. Corey says, you understand my thoughts on that. Been there. Don't let OCD win. Exactly. We don't want to let OCD win, right? That's not where we want to go. Patrick says, I used to think my impure sexual thoughts was stuff went wrong in my life and would have guilt and shame and excessive confession to God, right? You know, we can make a relationship of any thought or anything that happens for anything whatsoever, right? We can always make links to things. You know, one of the worst phrases in the world is, well, they said. You know what they say? I just like to meet they. I don't know who they are. But I'll tell you what, if I ever meet they are going to get a sound, stern talking to because they spread a bunch of bullshit. You know, because there isn't anything that also, in addition to, well, it feels like the other way that anyone can get out of anything is say, well, you know what they say? Just introduce me to they. Who are they? That's all I want to know, who they are. I haven't found them yet. But if you could just introduce me to they, that would be great. And I could truly understand what's happening. But I don't know who they are. Patrick also says, I'm sick and tired of OCD shit and glad I can see it tricks you now. Awesome. Good, good, good. Ella says, what are some examples for overcoming breathing and somatic OCD? You concerned you'll never not notice your breath. As long as you're concerned you'll never not notice your breath, you're always going to notice your breath. So here's what I want you to do. Okay. Spend the next, this would be a little ERP exercise for you. Spend the next 10 minutes only thinking about breathing. Don't think of anything else whatsoever. Only think about breathing. Right? And what I bet will happen, Ella, is this. After about a minute or two, you'll think about, what do I want for dinner? Oh, wait a minute. I'm supposed to only think about breathing. Right? It's interesting. The more we try not to think of something, pretty much the more guaranteed we are to think of that thing. And on the opposite side, the more we try to think of something, very often the harder it is actually to think about it. And so I just want you to try that out. Do those two things. Spend time purposely thinking it 10 minutes and just see what happens when you do that. And then try not thinking about it and watch what happens when you try not to think about it. And that might give you a little bit of an idea of the ways that you might want to approach some work on some of this, right? Okay. Do you think keeping yourself busy is a positive thing for OCD? Not if it's to distract yourself away from OCD things, right? I think it's great if you have this desire to avoid everything because you don't want anything to really trigger you. So I would like people then to go out and do things and live their life and be in the world. But if you're keeping busy as a way to distract from anything else, then I have an issue with it because I don't want distractions, right? That is not where we want to go. So how can you stop trying to figure out past events? Alex says, the more you try to remember, the worse it is. One of the things that happens in like a real event OCD is we keep thinking that if we could just remember things the right way, then it would be great, right? I think I've used this example before, but when my grandmother died, I remember answering the phone and telling my mom that my grandpa was on the phone. She remembers getting up and answering the phone and that I was asleep. Alex, which one of us was correct? Who's right? I think I am. She thinks she is. I think she's wrong. She thinks I'm wrong. A, how much does that actually interfere in our lives? And B, is it possible that if we look at like even the work of Elizabeth Loftus, that memory is not perfect, right? And so when you put OCD into that whole experience, and OCD says, you just need to remember this the right way and then everything will be okay. But OCD is the doubting disorder. And what happens with the doubting disorder? Well, you'll doubt everything that you give it, no matter what you give it. Even if it is the true memory, it's still going to doubt it. So, Alex, you're on a quest that is never achievable because you're attempting to do something that OCD won't allow to happen, which is to get an answer to something that is 100% guaranteed and accurate and true. And that just will not occur. I hope that helps, right? Good night, Spoon. Be well. All right, everyone. Now, We had a little spamming. I don't answer those, SK, if you do them multiple times. So try again next week and ask once, and then I will consider answering your question. But I don't give in to the spamming. That being said, everyone, thank you for joining tonight. Always good to be with you all. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope that you will make some decisions this week to not give in to what OCD wants, because remember, it does not have your best interest at heart. Check us out at NOCD.com if you're looking for help. And hey, if you want a NOCD 411 session to get info about OCD, go to NOCD.com. We can do that too. We'll talk to you soon, everybody. Have a good one.